Brent here from American English with this guy, and in today's English lesson, to help you improve your English, we are going to take some big things and break them down into their smaller parts. Today we're going to talk about small things and those English vocabulary words that we use with them, and also those tricky English phrasal verbs. Now, if you noticed behind me, there is a field of grass. But what do we call those little pieces of grass? Well, let's go over and pluck one up. I'm going to pluck one right now. I think I actually got two, but we just want one. There we go. There's one right here. We call this a blade of grass. And guess what? I'm at my school right now. It's getting a little dark. I think we have a little light. This will be a fairly short English lesson. But right now, I'm in a parking lot. The field is still behind me, but I'm standing in a parking lot right now. Parking lot, that's a big thing. But did you know that where you park your car, that's a parking spot? You see those little white lines? Well, there are two parking spots right there. Two parking spots. Also, in this parking lot, there are some piles of sand. Yeah, somebody should probably sweep this parking lot, but they haven't. Do you know what we call the little bits of sand? I'll try to pick one up. Just one, I'll try. Yeah, I got a bunch here. But if I only had one little piece of sand, we would call it a grain of sand. There are also some bigger pieces of rock. Well, bigger compared to the grains of sand. They're still really little rocks. Probably so small you can barely see it. But we might call that a pebble. Really small little rock. That's a pebble. Now, behind me is a brick wall made up of a whole lot of bricks. Lots of bricks. But did you know that a line of bricks is something we call a layer? So many layers of bricks make up an entire brick wall. And now you can see behind me are a couple doors. Let's break down those doors into their pieces. Right here, we have a door handle. That's the door handle. It's locked. But also, there is glass. Do you know what we call a piece of glass? It's a pane of glass. Now, you've probably heard of somebody getting hurt. Like if I bumped my head, I might have a pane. But those two things, the pane in my head and this pane of glass, well, they're spelled differently. And you can see that right up there. I'm still standing in a parking lot. We might also call it pavement. And if you look, there are cracks in the pavement. A lot of little cracks in the pavement. It just happens over time. Now behind me, you might not be able to see it, maybe if I tilt the camera up a little bit, is a basketball hoop. Let's see, how can I get that back? Oh, there he is. The basketball hoop is right up there. And a basketball hoop has a couple different parts that make it up. Another English phrasal verb. So if a lot of little things make up something bigger, that's the phrasal verb we use. So a pole, this basketball hoop has a pole. Up there, I can't quite touch it. I'm not tall enough, but that white thing is a backboard. You see that red circular thing? That's a hoop. So we call this a basketball hoop, but that little thing, the red thing, that's a circle, that's the actual hoop. And below that, the white thing hanging from it, we call that a net. It recently rained here, so we have some puddles of water on the field. But when it rains, do you know what we call the little things that rain is made up of? That's drops. We call it drops of rain. And I don't want to think about it, but in maybe as little as a few weeks, I'm filming this on November 4th. In just a few weeks, we might have snow. And do you know what we call those little things of snow? We call them flakes. Flakes of snow. I'm not looking forward to the potential snow that we might get this winter. Since it rained recently, the ground below me is a little wet. It's a little soft. Do you know a good adjective to use to describe ground like that or grass like that? We might say that it is soggy. Behind me, I have a tree, and we call this a branch. This is a branch on the tree. This hard part, the outside, we would call this the bark of the tree. And the really thick part right here at the bottom, we would call that the trunk of the tree. Now, when the branches are really small, and if I were to break this off, I won't, to use an English phrasal verb. If I would break this little piece off, it might be called a twig. All right, I didn't have to break anything off the tree. I found this on the ground, but we would call this a twig. It's like a really small branch. I hope you enjoyed this English lesson about really small things. If you want to see an English lesson where I actually go inside that school and act out English phrasal verbs, take a look right up there. There's a link for you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.